Hi again, this is Melissa. I'm standing here in the beautiful Foursquare Garden at Renfrew, run by the Institute at Renfrew. And today I'm standing next to all these beautiful sunflowers because we're going to talk about pollinators and their role and importance in your vegetable garden or in your flower garden. So most of us know what a pollinator does. It pollinates flowers without these insects, or sometimes they're animals even, but we'll focus on insects. Without these pollinators, we can't have fruits. Fruits won't be produced from the flowers that grow on our plants. So there would be no tomatoes, beans, eggplant, squash, you name it. Our vegetable list and fruit list would be a lot smaller without these little guys helping us. So a lot of times we hear kind of depressing news about pollinator populations, and this can be true in some areas of the country where we've really diminished their natural habitat. A lot of farmers that rely on pollinators to create their crops, for example, blueberry farmers, where there's fields and fields of blueberries, they all bloom at once and then they're done. So in an example of a monocrop like this, a pollinator can't live in that environment year-round. There's only food for them that's available for that one period of time where the plants bloom and then the flowers go away. So these farmers that are growing these fields of monocrops will be bringing in pollinators, actually paying bee farmers to transport honeybees to their property for that window of time and then transport them away. So in your home garden, you definitely don't want to be paying somebody to bring bees in. You want to have them naturally doing their work for you for free. And there's tons of native pollinators that will do this for you. So we think of honeybees as a big pollinator, but actually honeybees are not going to be the most effective pollinators in your home garden. They're very effective at collecting pollen and collecting nectar to bring back to their hive to make honey and beeswax. But the fact that they are so effective at bringing the pollen back to the hive means they're actually not very effective at spreading the pollen from flower to flower. And so what we end up seeing is that native bumblebees are able to perform 7 times the work of one honeybee doing that same pollination job. So what do we need to have in order to promote pollinators in our garden and provide a habitat for them? They need a host plant. This applies mostly for, I'm thinking of butterflies. A lot of them need host plants. Bumblebees will need a habitat of some kind. You can find lots of cool patterns online for creating a bee house for them to live in. But if you're thinking of butterflies, we'll have to have a host plant. This is the plant that they lay their eggs on, and then the eggs hatch and the little caterpillars are raised on this plant. Most butterflies only have one or a couple of plants that they can lay eggs on and that those caterpillars can thrive on and eat. So for example, we hear about the monarch butterflies a lot, and they have to have milkweed. If you don't have milkweed in your garden, you will not have monarch butterfly caterpillars in your garden. And then you're going to need blooms, flowers year-round. And these flowers behind me, they have a whole bunch of bees all over them. Different bees prefer different flowers. So your best bet is to have a variety of flowers that bloom from spring through fall, and this will provide the food source that they need to eat. And then of course, if you plant your vegetables or your fruits in this same environment with your host plants, possibly your bee houses or habitats, and then your flowering plants, you'll have, oh, and one more thing, you need an overwintering habitat. So that could be a rock wall or an old log. Brush piles will work. So leave some of your spaces unmanicured and natural for these critters to hibernate in. And then you should have no problem getting adequate pollination for your food and providing a habitat for all of these great native friends of ours. So I hope you get out in the garden today, and thanks for stopping by.